initially I was gonna.
Hey, where's the coffee?
But coffee is
I thought it will come from the side like that. No, okay.
just magically. Welcome to the I Love Weddings podcast.
Okay.
And we're shooting at this incredible location. Cinnamon Life was very kind to host us. We're in Cloud Wine, but we're not going to have any wine. We're going to have coffee.
Back there. Huh.
So I'm very excited to have legendary destination wedding photographer Joseph Radek with us here today. A lot of people will already know who you are, about you, but I would like to get a little bit of an introduction. Just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Ooh. Okay.
In as little or as many words as you like.
Oh, so I've been trying for a while now to kind of define myself in the shortest way possible. Okay. In essence, I'm a wedding photographer, and I take pride in the fact that I'm a wedding photographer and not that I'm a photographer who shoots weddings and all of it. I'm a wedding photographer. About 100 days of the year I spend at weddings.
Yeah.
And the rest of the time, I walk my dog. I'm a freshly minted dad. So I have to play with my kid daughter, who's extremely loud and lots of fun.
I remember.
Yes.
It's very animated, and even just from speaking to you on the phone, I can hear that.
And most recently, I've started to take my content creator journey very seriously. For the long time now, for the last 10 years, I've had a sizable following on social media. One that I've always taken for granted. And it's only recently that I've realized that it would be lovely to reconnect with that community. Because when we started as photographers, if you remember 10 years ago, it used to be very different. The joy of sharing your photo to the world is very different to the way it is now, right? So kind of trying to rekindle that joy back.
So then would you say have we lost the joy of doing that along the years?
I think the platforms have changed. Okay. So it's kind of like, you had an exhibition gallery and you expected people to walk in every day and you had conversations with them. But suddenly the street on which that gallery was entirely changed.
That's a great analogy. Yeah.
Correct. It's completely changed. It's no longer that gallery. So it's kind of like this. You're in an art corner of a city.
Yeah.
Okay. It's this hipster kind of place where people would walk in.
Yeah.
Suddenly imagine that there were restaurants and stand-up comedy shows open all around you. Right. You're the odd one out then.
Yeah.
Correct. So
at the end of the day, you're competing for eyeballs. So people's attentions are diverted, and
I like to think of it less as competing, more as reminding people where we are, who we are. Because the problem is that this thing that I've been trying to wrap my head around, Jishan, that fact that we all want views on social media today, but views are like the monopoly money of the internet.
Yes.
They don't do anything for you.
They don't do anything for you. They don't do anything for your clients,
They do everything for the platform.
Yes.
Just so you know.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
They drive the platform forward. Views don't do anything to you. But that's a conversation for another day. But anyway, content creator, dad, dog walker,
Dog walker.
Photographer, and occasional filmmaker. Yeah.
That's brilliant. And I've really enjoyed seeing, honestly, the stories about Taru and Koopy as well, your dog. And especially, I love the introduction video when you guys did the announcement. That was very heartfelt, touching, and I loved seeing that personal side as well. So I'm hoping to see more of those in the space of your life.
Let's see.
Yeah. So there was something I wanted to ask you about, which was, I remember when I was looking at your pictures, you said something. This was, I think maybe you had said it early on in your career, and then it was also written, I think I saw it on Fearless as well. And you said, you want to make simple, stupid things look beautiful and awesome.
Yes.
That really stood out to me because it's like, what are the stupid things that he's talking about? Are you talking about like silly moments at weddings or like
Not really.
It's mundane stuff that looks really interesting to...
No, you know how in every in every chick flick ever, there's the scene of that of the hero or the heroine realizing that they love the other person and then running to them in the airport to stop them catching the flight, right?
Yeah.
Those are the simple, stupid things that we take for granted. They're there in every movie.
They're in every movie.
They're there. It's just like every wedding we shoot,
Yeah.
the same things repeat,
Yeah.
right? My ideal goal in life is to never take those things for granted.
It's great.
Okay, it's the first time it's happening for the people in that photo.
Exactly.
It's the 100th,
It's the
500th time for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's the first time it's happening for you.
Yeah.
And my problem with wedding photography for a while now, at least I don't want to call it, but I do feel it that, so I'm going to call it that. The performative side of wedding photography
Yes.
is to make everything look whoa, right? Like hunt for the obscure moment, right? Get the thing that hasn't been noticed. And I keep thinking, do the bride and groom really care for that? Right? You care for that, and we care for that.
Yeah.
As a
Yeah.
community of photographers, we might care for
And
that.
we seek validation from each other as photographers. Like to us, like
Yeah.
we'll see a picture that's really creative.
I think the more you can disconnect from your work, from your peers, the better you get as a wedding photographer. And that's, I mean, this is of course, this is me saying this 15 years later,
Yeah.
not in my initial years.
Yeah.
It's actually less validation. It's more. I mean, I'm giving you a different word for it. It's more you're waiting for a pat on the back, which the bride and groom won't give you. You know, so you took something cool.
Yeah.
Bride and groom, they 99% of the time they may just go past it. There is the one odd
When
bride.
it aligns.
Yes,
Yeah.
there are one odd bride who'd be like, "Oh, dude, you did that," you know. So then you're like, okay, now who will say, "Oh, dude, you did that"? Other photographers.
Exactly.
And we hunt for that. Yeah. But yeah, so my simple, stupid things are the things that you take for granted.
So I think that's a very, I mean, refreshing take. Refreshing for me because I can say that I haven't really heard that being said from photographers. That sort of insight, and then maybe it's insight which comes with experience, as you said, like down the line, looking back and thinking, that is what ultimately matters, right?
It's answering the why, which I think most of us don't. We are so as craftsmen, more craftspeople, less artists. Okay, that side of our brain is always the what and the how. We rarely answer the why. The why is where the artist lies. The why is also, ironically, where the businessman lies. Okay, it's ironic because you would think that the businessman is all logic.
Yeah, I remember once you said it's about separating those two things.
Correct.
The businessman and the photographer in the artist rather.
Yeah. So, Manu, but lately I've realized that the artist knows more about business than the crafts guy. The crafts person is so stuck in getting the deliverable, adding more things.
Yeah.
Whereas the more you hone in on the art, the closer I feel you get
Really?
to the business. At least the why. The answering the why.
Yeah.
Why do people like this photo?
Yeah.
Right? Why do people want wedding photography? This is a question that has been like last 1 year I've been asking myself. In a world where you know that your wedding is going to be documented in 10,000 ways. Not perfectly, not according to the standards that you and I aspire to, but does it matter? When I see, as soon as a wedding ends, I'm sorry, I'm not going to take too long on this, but as soon as the wedding ends, I try and follow a bride's Instagram.
Yeah.
Even if they're super private. It's one thing that, we're friends by the end of that wedding.
Exactly.
We're just chilling, right? Yeah. And they're anyway following me on Instagram, and half of Instagram is my life, etc. But there's a curious part of me because I try and just see what are the stories that they're sharing. Correct? By the time my first photo has hit them, they've shared about 150 stories already.
Yes, that has changed so much in the past 5 years that I've seen.
Yeah. So the question is, what value add are your photos doing? To an extent, yes, you are adding the art to it and everything else. But the thing that I keep telling myself is, dude, if you were not there at the wedding, it's not that much of a miss.
Yeah.
Okay. So then you start answering the why. And then that why shapes your
all the
business
wedding
decisions.
photographers everywhere like, oh,
No, see, Jishan, I have seen so many people talk about this. I've seen so many wedding photographers talk about this, where they're all like, "Oh, but we shoot it like this," and they get on Instagram
yeah,
and
we're trying to justify it.
correct, which I think is the wrong way to go. The more you try to justify, the less you seem credible, if that matters, right? I mean, obviously, you have a what's that word? You have a conflict of interest. Okay, obviously, you're going to say that.
Yeah.
Your work deserves to
Trying to
be
justify it. Yeah.
right. But I'm just thinking, what are weddings? Why do people come together to get married? Like come together to get married? And when that happens, why does it need to be photographed? You answer those questions one by one, slowly. You find the whys, and you find your whys, right? And then I feel that your style of wedding photography can be catered to those whys. The less you ask those questions, the more you're going to get confused. The more you're going to look at other wedding photographers and invariably do what they're doing, and you're not going to have a business strategy in place. Let me put that way.
Yeah. And then you might be left wondering why, like, you might have a similar couple, similar location, and you're not getting the same thing out of it because you're trying to emulate someone else without kind of getting.
No, I'm actually going to go very shallow on this. I'm not even going that deep because you're talking craft.
Yeah.
I'm talking, you're going to start asking yourself, why hasn't this client come back to me? I shot such nice photos for the wedding. Why didn't they hire me again? The sister got married.
Yeah.
Why didn't they come back to me? Am I too expensive now?
Yeah.
I think those questions, if you're able to, the more you hone in on the why, I feel like the less you're going to ask yourself those questions. If you're able to ask yourself, why do families get together? Right? Why do they spend this much money?
Yeah.
And if you're able to answer that solidly, then I feel like then your photography is solving problems.
But then on the surface, like you said, if you're answering the question saying they get together and, I mean, anyone can take a photo and remember the moment, capture memories like we used to do with our handheld cameras and all of that. Where does the photographer actually come in?
No, Jish, that's what I'm trying to tell you. That I think my why is different from your why. That's exactly what I'm trying to get at. Okay, I'm not going to assume things about your culture or the culture of your clients.
Yeah.
Right. So the fully immodestly speaking, the rarefied group of people that we shoot, right, are not doing these massive weddings for validation. Correct? They're doing it for their own set of reasons.
Yeah.
As long as my photography adds value to those reasons, I think the thing is, I mean, the business bit is solved, but it has to add value.
Yeah.
It doesn't, see, photography will never take away value, but if it doesn't add value,
then
what is the point?
Exactly.
Right? Because I look at all these incredible spreads of food that are there at multiple weddings that we shoot.
Yeah.
And keep asking myself, do they want photos of this? Right? I maybe they do. Maybe I don't know. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Okay.
Yeah.
I look at these incredible deco and these insane venues that they make, right? And I'm like, do they want photos of that? The number of it's a flip of a coin. Okay, it's not necessary that they want it. That's the thing. The more you know the bride and groom, the more you'll know about this, right?
Yeah.
They might have a very introverted grandmother, one of their 4 grandparents who will not even come to the front of the stage, even though they're young. They might be in the back, but they might be their favorite grandmother. So many little things, right? All of this to me are part of the why. That's why I'm saying that I don't want to put a generic answer there. My why is very different from yours and from the other.
And I think in that way, it's different for every couple as well. Obviously, it's unique to them.
Exactly.
Exactly. Comes back to kind of a question that has been asked of me when you're doing so many weddings, how it's different from each one, how it differs from the other one when it's the same location, when it's there's so many similarities, but each time you end up getting different photos because that why is different, the couple's different. Ultimately, the story is different. It's not, it's not a carbon copy. So you can't do a template and shoot,
Ironically, this is something that I've just said on some other platform. I can't remember.
That's okay. Say it here.
I think it's totally okay if your photos are exactly the same.
Oh,
Exactly the same.
okay.
As long as those families are not related, what does it matter?
Yeah.
Like hopefully they're getting married to a different group. Okay. Right? So, because the thing is, it's performative, right? Like, see, you're trying to balance two things. One is the wedding photographer's reach on social media,
Yeah.
and the bride's, the honesty of the bride's memories. The honesty of the bride's memories have nothing to do with whether your photos are different or not.
Yeah.
It can be the same. You can shoot 10 weddings at the same venue, give the same photos. Trust me, you're going to be hired for the 11th one. As long as you have preserved the bride's memories. Jishan, there are wedding photographers in India who've been thriving for the last 25 years. Thriving, not surviving. Whose social media presence is zilch. Like, they would have like 3,000 followers or something. Which I know to a wedding photographer starting off right now, you'd be like, oh my God, 3,000 followers, okay? But wedding photography gets a lot of views, okay? So, after 10 years or 30 years, they might have only 3,000 followers. But they'll have 50 repeat clients every single year. You don't need to, that's the thing. If 20 years ago, when pre-Instagram, where did wedding photos get released? Think about it.
I mean, pre-Instagram,
Blogs?
looking at blogs.
Correct.
Pretty much, yeah.
But were
Blogs
the
are-
brides looking at blogs so actively is the question.
Um,
You know, like today,
I
a bride can see 20 wedding photographers.
Yeah.
Whereas if a bride searches on Google,
they would have to do an actual search. They would have
correct,
to
they
search
will see 2 or 3.
how much effort
Yeah.
did we put into SEO?
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
So, okay, so where I'm going with this is businesses were thriving when photos were being stored away in almirahs and closets. Correct?
Yeah.
I don't think those wedding photographers were worried about making their wedding sets looking different.
No, yeah,
Correct.
100%. No.
House number 1, house number 2, house number 3, same way. And they were still thriving, bro.
If anything, the consistency means that they wanted it to be the same, and then they'll be successful in that.
It's not such a big deal. So my take is, don't be hung up on making your photos look different from wedding to wedding. Instead, be completely obsessed about understanding your brides and grooms, delivering the very best of product for their needs, number 1.
Yeah.
And number 2, along the way, if you're able to increase your portfolio, right? A photographer's portfolio, spoken as an artist, if you're able to get, as I can't remember who said this, I will find this and I'll let you know. But anyway, I'm trying to think of the photographer. But basically, they say that as a photographer, if you're able to add 2 photos per year to your portfolio, you're doing an excellent job. In an active career of 40 years, that is 80 photos in a portfolio.
Yeah.
That's a lot of photos. Correct? 2 photos per year.
Trying to wrap my head around 80 photos being a lot now, but
But think about it as a portfolio.
As a portfolio.
As a portfolio, as this is my life's work. I think 80 photos is fine. Right? Even 50 is fine, man. Like as a book.
Yeah.
There'll be 250 other photos that establish those 50 photos.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Right?
Yeah.
The
supporting images.
Correct. The supporting images. The 50 is your blurb in the beginning of your book, saying this is my life's work.
Yeah.
Right? So all you're looking to do is add to that 50. So that means that in a year, if you're shooting 20 weddings, 18 of those will go by, or 19 of them will go by without you ever adding to a portfolio. And that's fine. That's totally fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. The problem with trying to be different is you might forget the primary purpose.
Yeah, the
primary purpose is, it's the bride's.
It's the bride's day.
Yeah.
Groom's day.
Bus.
Yeah, right now we're obsessed with exactly the opposite, which is just putting out content nonstop.
There's one photo I actually want to talk to you about, which I think encapsulates everything that I'm talking about. It's 7 years old. It's Priyanka Chopra walking down the steps of the Umaid Bhavan in Jodhpur for her wedding day. Okay. Hopefully everybody knows this bride. Okay. She's kind of going viral now because she has a Spanish song. Okay. And Nick is going like fully cute on Instagram for her. Anyway, She was wearing a red lehenga, a striking red lehenga. What is this? No.
Now that one?
Not the one. And so talking about one specific photo.
Okay.
She's walking down the steps. You can see the steps. It's her. I'll find it for you. And it, to me, as a photographer, okay, if anybody sees that photo, you'd be like, it's a bride walking down the steps.
Yeah. We've seen 100 of them.
Yeah. And the thing here is, in that moment, Jishan, I'm not thinking, okay, how do I make this look different?
Yeah.
Do I shoot this with a 16mm lens and add, foreground elements? Do I put my phone under the camera to make the steps reflect and red lehenga come out? Do I do an off-camera flash? Do I add 6 off-camera flashes, right? Or do I do the tilt, disconnect the lens and do all this?
Yeah, tilt shift.
Shut all this out. It's Priyanka freaking Chopra walking down the steps. Okay. The moment is extraordinary. You don't have to do anything about it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's history that you're recording. And in recent times, so everybody thinks we shoot only celebrity weddings. 9 out of 10 weddings that we shoot are not celebrity weddings. Okay, so I've been thinking, what happens when I take that approach, which I just said, which is extraordinary moments require ordinary photography. If in simple photography, okay, extraordinary moments. You don't think of that photo of the Vietnam War, of the girl running away. It's, the Napalm
recent documentary that was there on
Napalm Girl.
Napalm Girl.
Napalm Girl, right? You don't think of it thinking, this photographer could have composed it like this.
Yeah.
It's history.
Yeah.
Right? Then I've been thinking, what if I just copy paste that approach to every wedding that I shoot? It frees me up. It really frees me up. So that photo of Priyanka is shot on a 35mm. It has nothing special. I'm actually going to show it to you. You can obviously show it.
I'm gonna pull it up.
Yeah. It's a very simple photo.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, that's the one. See.
Okay.
So it's this one.
Yeah.
Okay. It's simple.
It's simple.
It's not even wise. But it shows Priyanka walking down the steps, and you already know what she is. She's dressed as a bride. She's walking down the steps. So, and there are so many photos I have. I have Katrina.
That's actually why I pulled up that photo, because it's like from your photos, and there's so many. This one always stood out to me because it's like in that moment, like it's a simple photo, right? But it captures everything that you want a bride's photograph to convey in that moment.
So I'm going to say something funny now, which you will relate to, because if the primary audience is wedding photographers. But this is also the reason why for the last few years I've stopped participating in wedding photography awards. Because I know that my favorite and my most iconic images will never win awards.
Yeah.
Right?
100% agree.
And I'm blown away by that. I'm literally blown away by that. Because I'm just like, because then that has started making me question what wedding photography awards are really about. Because I was like, in order to take that iconic moment, you have to be in a certain state of flow. I'm being shameless when I say this. Okay, a state of flow which lets you disconnect from all the other things related to photography and just focus in on the key story there. The number of photos I have like that Priyanka Chopra walking down the steps is pretty much my entire portfolio. Okay, it's Nayanthara walking down the steps, walking down a mirrored glassway. In fact, okay. It's Katrina Kaif walking out of a palace for her wedding. It's Athiya being walked by her brother down the aisle. All of these photos are just that. Somebody did a collage on Twitter of all my wedding photos. And they're like, why do this guy's wedding photos all look the same? And I'm like, dude, there's a reason. Because the people in them are iconic, right? I'm not... And then I'm literally telling you, over the last few years, the more I have focused in is preserving the memory for the bride and groom, and then trying to see what layer of fun I can add on top of that. The layer of fun is what I publish publicly, which whether it's a different looking photo that I have made out of just some spark came in, I made. Yeah. The rest of it is literally this.
Yeah, the stuff is what goes to the couple, the families. And
so 10 years later or 20 years later, I hope to do like a gallery of these photos, where people then just are able to just see these images as images of a certain time period and not images that are trying to showcase a photographer's photography skills, if that makes sense.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
That
Sorry.
no, that's
Please
actually
go on.
that's a very again refreshing take. I really, I think that's something that we can dwell on. I mean, we can talk endlessly about this topic.
Okay.
So I'm gonna keep it going.
Sure.
You know.
Sure.
But staying on photography,
Mm.
I remember there was one analogy that you had used, and I thought it was really, really good because it was a sports analogy. And then I've noticed that we tend to use sports analogies as well for a lot of things, but wedding photography in particular. You said a wedding was like test cricket, and the scorecard is the highlights at the end, basically. But you have this marathon.
Correct.
And Lanny from True Man, he had an analogy which was, and because he's from Canada, the analogy was from ice hockey.
Correct. Sticks on the ice.
Sticks on the ice. Saying essentially the same thing, which is pay attention.
Yeah.
That's what you said. So are there, do you remember any moments where you think, oh, I could have paid more attention, or nothing like that?
All the time.
Yeah.
Every single time.
Because we feel like that all the time.
Yeah.
I want to know if you...
No, you should. So there isn't a wedding that goes by that I'm not sitting at the end in my hotel room thinking, missed that.
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, it's even more immediate, because all of us are now, for the last 6 months, have been on these talkback sets, right? Where basically we don't use walkie-talkies or phones anymore. We used to use WhatsApp to communicate, but now this is instant.
Yeah.
The number of times, Jishan, I'm on comms with the team saying, oh, missed it. Okay. And immediately our thing is also that, did you get that?
Yeah. Did you get that?
Oh, did you get it? So as long as somebody else got it, I think
someone else gets it.
Yeah.
It's fine.
I think, there's this, I'm going to give you a sports photography jargon. Okay. Not sports jargon.
Okay.
Sports photography jargon. Okay. Back in the day when DSLRs were very prominent and you had the shutter, right? Do the blackout.
Yeah.
There's a line in sports photography is, if you saw the moment, you missed the moment. Okay.
Yeah.
So through the viewfinder, if you saw it, you missed it. Because when that shutter claps is when that moment has happened. So whether it is that perfect swing and you get that one thing, or the ball hits them in the face, if you saw it with your naked eye, you missed it. Right? For wedding photography, I think it's the other way around. I think if you saw the moment, you should pat yourself on the back. Number one is seeing the moment.
Yeah.
Number two is taking the photo. If you're shooting with a team, hopefully somebody else has taken the photo. But please tell me you've seen the moment in the first place. I would much rather go back to the hotel room thinking, shit, I wish I had made a photo of that, than thinking, fuck, this is a boring wedding. Right?
Exactly.
The number of photographers who go back thinking, this was shit. Right? I genuinely think there is beauty, wonder at every single wedding, no matter how boring.
Every single wedding. Yeah.
And I also think that there is no space for cynicism in this industry, in our service, not in this industry, in our service. Our service is fueled by empathy. Okay, it's not fueled by cynicism at all. Cynicism being that you approach a big wedding and think, there's nothing good going to be here, so I'll shoot with one drone, I'll shoot these wide angles, and I'll go.
And if you go in with that mindset, you're not going to get anything.
You've lost the game already.
Put into it,
right? So there's this 3 words that I've always told people, which is believe in love. Okay, as to me is as important as sticks on the ice. Okay, believe in love, and then you will find it. But if you do not believe in love, you're not going to find it. It's as simple as that, because you're going to go in there thinking that, this is a shit show anyway. Right? If you believe in love, then you'll start looking for it. I mean, it's the best friend who's excited for a friend to get married. You'll find it in the father who's excited to get his daughter married. You'll find it in the mother who's all like, oh my God, this girl needs to look perfect on her wedding day. You'll find it in the best friend who's all like, my mate's getting married. He's taking this big decision. Any one of these stories is good enough to fuel the entire set forward.
Yeah.
Irrespective of how chaotic and how gauche and obscene the wedding looks to your eye, right? Then all of that just, you peel
it melts away.
Yeah, completely melts away, man. So the number of times I post my photos on the internet and I'm greeted by comments like, look at what she's wearing. Oh my God, I can't believe she wore that. And I'm like, I can't even see that.
Yeah.
Look at her smile.
Yeah. Look at his smile.
Yeah, look at the way they're looking at each other.
Exactly.
And no, but it'll be like, that Sherwani he shouldn't have worn. This is a popper. Okay.
Yeah.
What kind of a disaster is that mandap? I'm like, what mandap? Where? Oh, that mandap. Okay. So, that's, I at least in our service,
Yeah.
I don't think there's space for that. Yeah.
I love that.
So if you have that,
to take
if you have that, I think then the full set makes itself.
Yeah.
Then every decision you make is fueled by that empathy. That this is what matters.
And I think that, I mean, that applies to,
Hmm.
you said our service, but you're talking about the wedding industry.
Correct. Correct.
Not
Of course.
photography,
Of course.
obviously.
But primarily as man,
But-
I'm being very selfish.
Yeah. So, I want to talk to you about your time here. So now you've been here. This is the second time you've been here, right?
Correct.
Sri Lanka.
Correct.
But I think the first time that you've actually had a little bit of time
Free
to
time.
yourself
Yeah, yeah.
and
Yeah.
So first impressions about Sri Lanka.
Man, I wish we had aired like this. We are in
That's
a,
what's been going viral, like in
yeah, no, so we are in a bit of a pickle as a country right now. Your neighbor.
but we're getting some of the air from India.
Okay.
So it's balancing out.
No, I was hoping the water acts as a barrier. No, but yeah, honestly though, I think what's been lovely to see is the sheer amount of peace that this island has. There is a stark contrast between Galle and Colombo, the two cities that I've spent time in.
Yes, absolutely.
But even that is like nowhere close to the chaos that we live in and take for granted, right? I absolutely love it. It's very nice. It's a place that I feel more people should look at to vacation
That's
and
more.
to shut off. Yeah.
So what, like if someone's traveling from India for holiday, wedding, whatever it is, like what should their expectations be? Like if they're coming in, are there certain expectations that maybe you think people have had that should be different? Like, were you surprised by anything?
Oh, definitely. I think the biggest surprise for me is, as I said, the peace.
The peace.
Right? It's not crowded. We are in winter right now. It's January. I think this is peak season.
This is
For
peak season.
This peak season. It did not feel crowded. We were not stuck in any traffic jam or anything anywhere. The beaches were not crowded. It didn't take. I'm here to do a photography assignment, and you can see that in my photos. I have not used AI to remove people.
Yeah.
It's been and I haven't gone to some hidden gem.
Yeah.
Right, I've literally gone to the hottest spots around.
Yeah, you literally like went to.
And I could not even do sunrise and sun. Sunrise is my favorite time to shoot anything. I could not do that as well because there has been no sun. So we had to shoot at 9 a.m., 10 a.m. Despite that, it's been very. I do hope Sri Lanka stays this way. I hope. I hope there are enough beaches and places for it to remain like this.
I'm going to ask you about weddings specifically, and I think we had that conversation recently at dinner. But what do you think Sri Lanka is missing? What do we need to be able to bring more weddings into the country? Like, we definitely want more, and more Indian weddings in particular.
Man, I wish see. The thing is, firstly, I'm gonna pepper this with the fact that I'm not an expert in this. Right, I'm the guy who's hired to shoot once people have made their minds up.
But you have seen
Correct. But with like all the experience that I have, I would think this is more to do with like approaching this more from a momentum kind of a thing, in the sense that pick 2 to 3 iconic spots that are going to be quintessential Sri Lankan wedding. You can't have 30 to 40.
Yeah.
Okay. Because when if I tell you Jaisalmer, for example, there's only one hotel that comes to mind, right? It's or if it's Muscat or if it's Russell Khaimah, there's a certain kind of imagery that these places come to mind with. You cannot be generic, right? So from a visual language, visual communication point of view, pick 2 to 3 places, saying that this is how a destination wedding in Sri Lanka would look like, right? And then, obviously, I'm not the best at telling you how to go and get a wedding, how to pitch these things. But when that wedding comes across and when that opportunity comes, make the most of it, right? If you have to curate or act as consultants to be like the wedding experts and tell people that these are the best wedding designers that could possibly do this, right? Who would match the landscape. This is a country that is known for its design, right? I mean, freaking Jeffrey Bawa is from here, right?
Yeah.
The architecture is so unique.
That's actually precisely what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
In terms of unique locations like the Bawa properties, I mean, they're absolutely
So many.
Yeah.
But in general, I'm saying that pick a visual language that says this is how a destination wedding in Sri Lanka would look like. When the wedding comes along, definitely advise, push them to a certain kind of an aesthetic, and then ensure that those weddings go places, get published, etc. Do that enough, and I feel the demand will come, because it's the bride of today or the families of today are chasing both things. They're chasing an experience as well as an aesthetic, right?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Like, at least I might be ignorant, but I'm not sure how a destination wedding in Sri Lanka would look like, right? So which are like the 2 to 3 kinds of places? Because if it is just another beach destination with a resort, then there are many alternatives.
Yes.
Then I would like to find out why the experience is different here. Is it the food? Is it the proximity to India? Big factor.
Yeah.
It's 3 times less travel time to reach here than it is to any of your Southeast Asian alternatives or the Eastern Europe alternatives, right? I mean, not the Eastern Europe, but the edge of Europe,
Yeah.
right? So either of those, or even to Middle East. This is still shorter
Yeah.
in every way, right? So yeah, so those are the questions I would ask. Experience and aesthetic. Answer those questions, and I think you have something to talk about. Yeah. Or more important, or the other way that I would approach this is fix the travel misnomers first. If there are certain
travel misnomers, have you heard of any? Like,
so if there's any certain misconceptions, like, is it, because even in my DMs right now, people are like, is it safe to travel to Sri Lanka?
I'm like, dude, safe, they're talking about weather, I guess, or
no. Yeah, so one guy was talking about floods and stuff, and somebody else is talking about the political situation, which is like something gone in the past.
Yeah, it's
right. But that's the thing. Not everybody follows world news.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I think it's good to essentially look at folks who tell real stories, and probably see how much the story of Sri Lanka can be put forward to that as well. One of your tourism board folks who we met was saying that I think the highest demography that visits Sri Lanka is Indians, and I'm glad to see that.
Yes, absolutely, by a landslide, I think.
Yeah, I know. I'm really glad to see that, because it should be. We are the neighbors.
Yeah, we're neighbors. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
Like I would be really disappointed if it's the Russians or the Vietnamese who are coming here. You know, what are the ferry options, right? So eventually, yeah, we hope that we are able to come here and spend like a month.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want anything less so. I really want to drive around. That's been one of the other things that I've noticed across 15 years. The fact that the roads are incredible here.
I know you've said you like to drive, and it is honestly a beautiful drive all around the island.
Yeah, anywhere, even going central and up, the hills, everything. It's peaceful, man. I would love to do this. Yeah.
When you're here next, you let me know. Done. Okay, so couple of final questions. I'm not gonna ask you about advice for photographers and anything like that, because there's tons you've said out there, and there's answers right here in all the questions that are, people should be taking notes. But what about yourself? Like, what's next for you? Do you see a time when you're gonna stop shooting weddings in particular, or will you always just be doing something in photography?
No, so the last 1 year, last 2 years for me has been a radical transformation in the way I've approached my health, which I never did. It's just one of those things that I never thought of. It's just you just assume. Like I used to take 150, 160 flights a year, man. Okay.
Wow.
And eat all sorts of crap at all sorts of times. Sleep well, but that was the only thing that was going for me. I've never drank alcohol or smoked, so that's been another cheat code. Or drank carbonated beverages or Red Bull or any such thing. I was literally fueled by sleep. Okay, that's pretty much my life.
That's good advice.
But this is gonna sound really funny to you. Okay, in 2023, when I made mid 2023, when I updated my portfolio, I realized how few photos I had taken from low or ground level were there. Okay, and so I then realized that was because my knees and literally the whole my flexibility was at an all-time low, and I did not know this. The human body is amazing. It just stops you from doing things because it cannot do this, and your mind just switches off that part.
Yeah, it works at a subconscious.
Yeah, it's protecting you,
Yeah.
right? This is like, dude, I need to fix this. So at the age of 41, I started going to the gym for the first time in life. Okay, and at the age of 42, I started eating clean for the first time in my life. Okay, that was 6 months ago. I have never felt better.
You look fantastic.
Thank you. And still a long way to go. Okay. But anyway, dude, so why all this is because Frank, it was Frank Boutonnet? I think it was Frank Boutonnet. Yeah. Frank said something to me long ago, which is that he's like, I wish at the age of 60, I'm still shooting weddings. Right. And now I'm thinking the only thing stopping me to do that is going to be my body. As long as I'm still in love with love, right? The day I get bored of that, I think I'll stop 100%. It's the day I don't see magic at Indian weddings, but I think that's still a long way off. That's still a long way off. Dude, it's so much fun, man. It's so, I think there's a certain, my body might be the same as my physical age, but my mind is way, 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 way younger. It's
You always get that rush, that thrill,
it's nothing that comes close. Nothing that comes close. And there's something about wedding photography that I don't think I've told enough people this, right? As a professional service, all other forms of photography pale in front of it. Okay, because when you walk onto a set as a fashion photographer, or as a documentary photographer, or as a wildlife photographer, right? The subject on the other side is not necessarily the subject on the other side of the lens is not necessarily looking forward to that photo.
right?
The tiger doesn't give a shit,
Yeah.
right? The street photography moment in front of you, they don't care.
Yeah.
That, it's in a fashion shoot also.
Yeah.
The model, they're not looking forward to that photo. They're just getting the job done.
Yeah.
Right? A campaign photographer, etc.
Yeah.
Here on the other side, the subject is excited about the final outcome of your craft.
Yeah.
That is so rare and that is so rewarding.
Yeah.
That every time you're out there, the person on the other side is excited about the thing that they're doing. So you are excited, they're excited. It's an absolute unbelievable energy to have on set. So I don't know so when somebody asks me how is X celeb to work with, I don't know. I have not worked with them. I have hung out with them. I've made photos with them, right? I really don't know how on a professional side, they might be a completely different animal. I don't know, right? So that I think is, I really do not know which other career option is out there that is close to this.
That's
probably a DJ.
Probably DJ, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the sense of
Oh,
satisfaction.
wait. There is one more. There is one more. A cook, a chef is right up there. There your subject is equally interested, right? In the meal being served and you are excited about the meal being made. So if I find other stuff like that, then yeah.
But then we're in this truly unique position where we get the sense of satisfaction from what we've done, and that lasts because the picture lasts.
Yes. Because that meal is over.
Yeah, the meal is over.
And
the song has ended.
Yeah.
And our pictures are still there.
So that's it, man. So if you ask me what the future for me is, one, I think, was to solve this problem of hoping that physically I'm able to do this more. Mentally stay in love, right? I think that's been the two things. Why do I want to do this? This is the why. There's a reason to do. The reason is this. Now the supporting mechanisms are these two. Yeah.
I think that's a great way to end it, and also kind of think about the why.
Yeah.
For everyone.
Think about the why. No,
Yeah.
I'm hung up on this, man. If everybody who I work with, everybody who I meet, I think we don't answer that question enough, man.
We don't, yeah.
Yeah.
Or rather, we start and we lose sight of it, and we need to come back to that.
No, so there's so many. When I post a photo on the internet today, photographers ask me which lens, you know, what settings, etc. But ask the why, no. Then you will create your own. You'll create your own style. You'll create so many other things. Yeah. Enough I've said.
Perfect. Perfect. You could say more. We could talk about this a lot more, but we're short on time.
Yes, sir.
So thank you so much for being here, and thank you for being in Sri Lanka. And
No, I'm coming back for sure.
yeah, we want to see you back here. And again, thank you, Cinnamon Life, for hosting us. You've been a great host multiple times now.
Yeah.
And hopefully see you soon.
Done. Yes, sir. Thank you. This coffee is good, by the way.
Yeah, it's like